Hey everybody, John Hiley here with DentTrainer.com, coming to you today with a tutorial about sharp tip tools. One of the biggest questions that I receive is when should you use sharp tip tools? I'm going to kind of go over definitely the situations where you're going to want to use them, and I also want to go over the situations that you're not going to want to use them. Later on in this tutorial, I'm also going to get into my reverse panel blending technique. That's going to be a little bit later, and we're also going to move into the big dent machine. And you might say, what does that have to do with sharp tips? Well, when you're using it, it actually gives you a lot of sharp pushes, a lot of shrinking pushes, so I think it falls right into the category of what we're talking about today. One of the first things I want to tell you about sharp tip tools is that typically you're going to be using them in panels that have a lot of wobble and a lot of flex. Areas like the middle of a door, the top middle of a roof, the center of a deck lid up there at the top. If it's flimsy and wobbly, usually sharp tip tools are going to give you your best pushing pattern. The middle of a hood, definitely on aluminum. So, you know, as long as the aluminum panel is not hard edged like the top of a fender, if it's flimsy and wobbly like the middle of a hood, that is exactly when sharp tip tools come in very handy. Personally, I like to use them on hail damage vehicles. I will work an entire hail damage roof with sharp tip tools, and one of the things that I find the benefit of using that is that literally on light to medium hail damage cars, I find myself working that entire roof or that entire hood, and I'll look over and I haven't even picked up my All right, everybody, so I'm going to go ahead and start and break down and kind of analyze some of the previous repairs that we've done here. Now, this is a repair that I had recently done on Crease 101, and the entire crease was actually repaired with a Mark Circus, you know, one of my favorite ones. I think it's the 40-inch sharp tip rod. And I want to kind of go through this and show you exactly why I chose that tool. And I'm going to kind of fast forward through here. Right there's our fulcrum point. And take a look here. Here's our crease. Let me see if I can get a real nice view of it there. And it is in a flimsy area. It's in the middle of a hood, so it's definitely not a body line or through one of the rolls there or the contours throughout the hood. Definitely, if it was in one of them areas, I would lean towards a soft tip likely. But however, it's kind of right out there in the middle where we see a lot of flexibility as we talked about earlier. So I'm just going to kind of go through here and take a look. It's not super deep, but it's also not super shallow. So it's kind of right there in the middle. Really nice place to use a sharp tip tool. And I really like it because it's just so fast. And here again, right here is the Mark Circus rod. You can see very, very sharp tip tool. Now when you get these, they're even sharper. This one right here has just been used so often that it's still sharp, but it's not as sharp out of the box. And you can grind these down and sharpen them from time to time. Just be careful, you don't want to lose half your tool. So anyhow, let's go ahead and go into this a little bit further here. And I want you to notice, I'm going to kind of speed this up here. But if you notice here, these pushes that I'm making are not leaving any aggressive high spots. So literally, I'm pushing this just enough to move the metal, but I'm pulling back before I push any little high spots. Now that's the key, guys, and that's what takes skill when you're using sharp tipped tools. I mean, it's not one of the things that it's a skill that you got to cultivate. If you're using these on shallow dents or mid to shallow dents like this crease right here, and you're creating a lot of pinches and a lot of high spots, you haven't mastered it yet. So you got to go back to the drawing board and you got to keep on working. But I'm going to tell you, with these sharp tip tools, the juice is worth the squeeze. So I'm going to come through here and just kind of show you quickly. I'm making pushes all the way throughout this crease. And I'm just going to kind of scroll along, and I'm actually Gonna kind of speed this thing up and show you all the way through it. You're just gonna notice as I'm working this thing, the big thing is that I'm not leaving any push marks. So again, you see it, the front half of that is all most of the way up, and you just don't see any aggressive high spots. So here we go all the way through, and I kind of sped that up quite a bit. Let's go back here a little bit and see how the dent just keeps getting. All right, everybody, we're gonna go ahead and go over here to a roof. I've got the headliner dropped, and we've got about a quarter-size dent. I'm gonna show you something that I discovered called the reverse panel blending technique. Now, typically, this is going to be a technique that is a lot like blending on the we're gonna go ahead and move on to this next technique. Now, I know at the beginning of the video I was showing you the big dent machine. I still look forward to using that. I just, it was not given to me with the right converter that actually changes it from a European plug-in into an American plug-in. And I actually tried buying a very small converter, and come to find out it's not the one the machine actually needs to pump enough juice through it to actually give me results. So we've tried it, but it's just not working for me. Mike has the other piece. I'm gonna be sending it to him. The next part of this is very exciting because Ray Sapnew came to me during a PDR Nation skills test that we had at our shop, or at my other location. And while we were there, he was telling me about this technique that is very similar. However, it's definitely, you're not even gonna need much to get it going and get it started. But I'm just gonna tell you that we are gonna tell you to do this at your own risk. So it's not that I feel that it's super dangerous. However, when you start hooking things up, you got to make sure you unhook them, stuff like that. Do this technique at your own risk. I'm going to go ahead and show you. I have had amazing results. I have such good results with this technique that I am literally adding a new tutorial to the end of Oil Can 101 because of this. It's a very cool technique, and we will also, not to mention, guys, we're going to get back into the big dent machine. Because if it works like I think that it's going to work, it's going to give you a similar result to what we're doing here, except it's going to be more controllable. So I'm not going to make you wait any longer. We're going to jump over here on this hood and we're going to get started.